Greek is very rich in trace elements because this dust remains from grinding. Look, the water has become instantly cloudy and we can clearly see that there is something at the bottom. Pay attention to how scattered the buckwheat is. No lumps, nothing is boiled over. It's good that we salted it at the very beginning and tried it. Friends, I greet you all. Today I will be cooking with you, not in the usual format, not a full-fledged dish, something else. A very frequent, very popular request on YouTube. I looked and was surprised. This is how to cook ordinary porridge. Porridge is very rich in microelements, but which ones? I want to ask you to write in the comments, let's chat. Buckwheat is one of the most popular products, probably on par with such garnishes as potatoes and pasta. Let's start cooking, but first, please check the subscription and like the video. First of all, we take the buckwheat and rinse it. We pour it into a container and fill it with regular cold water. By the way, I don't recommend washing the buckwheat in the same dish you're going to cook it in. That's because the grinding leaves this dust, and if it gets on the walls or bottom, it will just burn unnecessarily. At the moment when you're going to wash it, pay close attention to the things that shouldn't be here. These are black specks, pebbles. Even if a tiny pebble gets in, it can simply break a tooth. Look, the water has become cloudy instantly. And I think I'll repeat this 2 or 3 times. Note that after 3 repetitions, no matter what I do with the sieve, the water no longer becomes cloudy. The next step is to discard the sieve and move on to the boiling process. We pour the buckwheat into a saucepan in which we will boil all this. Next, we debunk the myth about whether to pour cold or hot water. I am fully convinced that we need already boiling hot water. Firstly, this will speed up the cooking process, and secondly, there is an opinion that our grains will be baked and all the valuable will remain inside. Now, how much water do we need? If we took a glass of buckwheat, one like this, then we will need 2 such glasses of water. Be careful, the water is hot, don't burn yourself. 1, 2. Next we simmer it and I'll salt it in the meantime. Here I will need half a tablespoon of salt without a slide. Since our water is hot, the salt dissolves well. And we can try how salty the water is because the final saltiness of the product will depend on it. We taste for salt. Excellent, we wait for it to boil. And while our pot is starting to boil, I would like to discuss one more point. Many famous chefs and those close to the kitchen talk about the fact that you need so much water and they measure it in finger phalanges. But if we have a large diameter or conversely very narrow, I still recommend doing as we have just shown. 2 parts water to 1 part grits. This will be much more sensible. The water has boiled, now we have to wait for the moment when we can't see any water on the surface of the grits, but it will still be at the bottom. You can check this by pushing the grits aside with a spoon. I assume it will take us about 10 minutes. The water has almost gone from the surface, but we can clearly see that there is still water at the bottom. I'm turning off the heat. Notice I'm not stirring anything. I'm adding 30 grams of butter and covering it with a lid. Let it set for 15-20 minutes, then we'll check the result. And what have we got there? Remove the lid and sprinkle with a spoon. Pay attention, what a scattered grain. No lumps, nothing has boiled away. I'm putting it in a bowl. Look how it falls off the spoon. Words seem unnecessary here. Everything is evident from this aerial view. I'll add some green garnish. And we start tasting. I can't wait to try this simple but undoubtedly delicious dish. The Greek is salty in measure. Good that we salted it at the very beginning and tried further. Greek is immediately visible that it is very crumbly, even unarmed look. One thing I can say for sure, it can be eaten without anything. But if you cook a classy goulash or chicken, it will be much more fun. On this delicious note, I must say goodbye and thank you for watching. And be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and don't be afraid to experiment for now.